V. Srinivas has spent almost 20 years working on the question of knowledge and how it enables human societies in ways that other resources do not. For about 8 years, he was engaged in the formal craft of knowledge construction as co-founder and co-CEO of INFAC, which produced knowledge products in the area of industry research and information. Srinivas currently leads the team at IT Settings. His research focus of the last few years has been the transformation of the modern workplace into an arena of personal and social evolution. He will be taking the session on Growth with Roots, a Vision for Our Career. I request you, sir, to kindly take over.
So let me start out. So over the next 40 minutes or so, we are going to go through 3-4 points of an understanding of what is happening or what is likely to go on in our careers. So let's start with the first slide. Maybe the kind of career that some of you here in this room may see. Just have a look at it. Look at what are the changes that are taking place around us. First of all, education itself is not necessarily giving you all the skills with which you will get a job. Number two, I don't know whether you are aware, but thanks to digitization and automation, we are finding that hundreds and thousands of jobs are now being destroyed. I don't know whether you are aware, but State Bank, for example, reduced its workforce by 10,000 people recently. Cognizant by 7,000. They are expecting that in the BPO industry, the loss of jobs may be of the extent of 40% in the next 5 years, because everything is moving towards artificial intelligence. In banking, they are moving towards ATMs, they are moving towards new kinds of mobile phones. Many of you might be using mobile phones for accessing your bank, which means one job less in the bank. On the other hand, also you are finding that there is a strange phenomena we are facing in this country called jobless economic growth. For example, a new textile factory gets set up. Now one should expect a lot of new jobs should get created. But we find that is not happening. Why is that not happening? Because many of them may be Suzlon machines or some other machines which are being automated, machines which are there, so that many workers less. So even though there may be economic growth, that economic growth doesn't always result in job growth. And what we are interested in this room is job growth, or at least that's what it looks like. Plus on top of it, if you really think about it, you will agree with me that degrees are becoming commoditized. Even IITs, there are some 10 IITs. People have forgotten what are the names of all the IITs which are there now. Earlier there used to be 5, now there are many. Similarly, you take so many different educational institutes are there of all kinds in the country. How do you differentiate? If you send your biodata to somebody, how does he know whether you are good or bad based on the institute? We may tear our hair while getting into the institute, wondering which institute to get into. But we don't know what is likely to happen. So that is also one more thing that's hitting us. But that's not enough. Assuming somebody gets a job, like for example, why is so many people at the age of 40 being asked to move out? Because the skills are changing. Every day new skills are coming in, and as the skills are coming in, people are asked to learn those skills. Those who cannot learn those skills, for example, those jobs are becoming obsolete. So people are asked to move out. 20 years back, 30 years back, when computerization took place, everybody took the trouble of teaching people how to learn computers. But now they are not even wasting their time trying to teach people things. They are saying, you learn, otherwise we don't want you. So this whole traditional, which leads us to the next point, that when our parents were there, if they got a job, nice job in a government office or somewhere, or in a public sector, all they had to do was to stay in that job. If you show up for work 9 to 5, you can expect to keep that job for the rest of your life. Nothing of that sort is going to happen in your life. In short, what we are saying is, look at that person in the middle. Many of us are likely to face a world where jobs are not guaranteed, the future is not guaranteed, jobs are becoming lesser. This could be an environment, this is not could be an environment, this is one description of the world that you are entering into. All this I speak because we are dealing daily with people from all these organizations who are exactly facing these issues. But guess what? There is also another way of looking at it. All of you here are also facing an opportunity. It's not just that you are facing negativity. Do you realize that first of all, even though there are a lot of jobs and lot of people who are applying for the jobs, there is a shortage of people who make things happen. If you can say that I can actually achieve things, get a job done, I can assure you that you are in demand. People are waiting for you. If you are somebody who says that I am a person who is willing to try out new careers, new kinds of jobs. I'm not looking for a traditional bank job, traditional government job, traditional job in a particular thing. But I'm willing to try out new things, enter into new fields. I'm willing to learn new skills, not what my college has taught me. Then there is opportunity. There are a lot of opportunities sitting there for you. Similarly, if you take it, if you say that I don't want to necessarily work in the top with one of the large companies with hundreds of thousands of people, I'm even willing to work in an SME, one of these companies, and I will work with them. I will work in the company in such a way so that the company grows and I grow. Then there are hundreds and thousands of SMEs waiting for you. They are actually looking for smart people to join them. Similarly, if you look at it, do you realize that you are capable today of applying for jobs anywhere in the world? You have the internet, you've got your biodata, you can apply to any kind of company. That means that you have opportunities from across the world if you are willing to find out. If you think that my opportunities, or if any of us thinks that the opportunity is going to lie only within Mangaluru area, then we have a different problem. But if you say your opportunity is not only all of Karnataka but all of India, and if you say my opportunity is global, then there is unlimited opportunity waiting for each one of you. If, for example, you say that just because I have got a degree, just because I have got a particular skill, I have studied in biology, so I have to get a job related to that, where I don't know whether you will get jobs. But if you say that I have got skills, I am a person who is able to think, I am a person who is able to try out new things, I am a person who is able to do all this and take up and learn any new job, go beyond my domain, then there are job opportunities waiting for you. And you have to say, I am not looking for position. I don't want to become general manager, vice president, forget all that. Say, whatever job I take up, I am going to expand my role. I am doing a teacher's job, I will become the best teacher that is possible. Suddenly you will find opportunities walking to your door. There are teachers in Bombay who make 10 times more than all the executives. Simply because they are outstanding teachers and people die to even get 1 hour of their time for their children. But you have to be good at what you are doing. It's not the profession that matters, it is the approach that matters. And if you approach correctly, you are willing to be open-minded, you see what you have. The whole world is your oyster. So let's get this right. All of us pay attention to this because this is very important. Every one of us has a choice. Each one of us in this room has a choice. You can be stuck like this, crying, weeping, complaining, government, BJP government has not done for me, Congress government has not done for me, waiting for somebody to give you a job, waiting for some placement office to come and offer you a job in your college. How many jobs will come to your placement office, I say? So instead of all these things, if you are there, then this is likely to happen to you. But if you are willing to reinvent yourself, think about yourself in a radically new way, then the world's opportunities are open to you. So this I'd like all of us to see in this way. This is the choice open to each one of us. You can either think of yourself as a job seeker. I hope you are getting what I am saying. You can think of yourself as a job seeker, and if you think of yourself as a job seeker, who is a job seeker? I have got great faith in my books. I will not read more than my textbook. Some of us do it, right? We don't necessarily read beyond our textbook. Then you will be a job seeker. I am a marks seeker. If you say I am only looking for marks, I am only looking for my degree, it's all left hand side. I am looking for a life of comfort. I am looking for fear of losing mindset. Who knows what will happen to me? If you have that kind of mindset, if you have got a closed mind which says this is what my parents have told me, this is what I saw some uncle or aunt do, this is all I am going to do, I am not open to new ideas, I already know everything, then you are likely to be in that left hand side. You will see only challenges in the next 20 years. But if on the other hand, you are willing to say, I am going to expand my personality, I am going to invest in myself, whether it is investing in learning how to speak, whether it is learning how to do things, whether it is getting involved in activities, whether learning how to organize, learning to read new things, open my mind, read up new newspapers, read up new things of all kinds, continuously keep an open mind, you are likely to find that things are very different. If you are willing to have faith in yourself, which is what Maharaj went on saying, and please note, whether you are an MBA, whether you are a postgraduate, whether you are a graduate, no amount of additional qualification will help you escape this reality. The choice within us is either are we going to depend on our degree or are we going to depend on ourselves. If you are depending on your degree, you are depending on your college, you are depending on your placement office, then the world is full of threats. You have faith in your access to the internet, you have faith in reaching out to the world, you have faith in your ability to learn new things. Can I read Coursera? Can I join Coursera? Can I join some course on the internet? Can I try out new things there? All these, when it comes up, suddenly you will find that if you are willing to seek out adventure, try out new things, then you will find suddenly that there is tremendous amount of opportunity. So this is the shift that we need to make. But if you are willing to say we are the new generation, we are going to depend on ourselves, we are creators of our own destiny, we are not victims and waiting for life to give us presents, then sky is the limit for you. And this shift which is there, from job seeker to a contributor or to a change maker, or is simply a person who is designing your own career, that kind of attitude, if you make that shift, this is the shift within us that we have to make. What does it mean? What it means is, starting today, don't go there waiting for your college to give you answers to your life. It will hold you by the hand and achieve things for you. It will not happen, because even the people whom you are looking up to, and I am sorry to say this, but the world that you are entering into is not the world your parents have seen. The last 20, 30 years might have been one world, but everything is changing. Do you realize that in every part of the world that we see around us, things are happening which nobody has imagined even 15 years back? They are seeing that digitization, for example, is just sweeping away thousands and hundreds of thousands of jobs in the banking sector. But along with that, so many new opportunities are coming up of the change, or in the right side of the change. Wrong side of the change is depending on your degree, depending on your textbooks, depending on somebody to make your career for 50, 25-year-old, 30-year-old who are creating companies which are so large in such a short time in even a 25-year-old or a 27-year-old. In fact, today they don't have faith in a 50-year-old, but they'll have faith in a 25-year-old. That is the shift which has taken place in the world. But you must have faith in yourself. You will find unlimited opportunities opening up to you. So design your own futures. That's my first idea. My second point is design your own development. What is design your own development? Why should we wait for our college to organize courses? How many of you have heard of Coursera? Have you heard of Coursera? Yes or no? Are you using it? Yes or no? No. So use it. Use Coursera, use online courses of various kinds. Do you realize that you have access to professors from MIT, from Harvard, from any college in the world? Why are you only waiting for one place? You can learn the same subjects from 5 different places provided you want to learn. If you don't want to learn, it doesn't matter even if you are sitting in a class with only 5 students in front of a professor. Anyway, you won't learn. While if you are willing to learn, you can sit in front of your PC and you can actually learn from professors from all over the world. That opportunity is open for you. You can use it to get certificates. Just imagine your own biodata. Others' biodata only says you are from one college or another. But your biodata also carries that I have joined 5 more courses like that, and all of them are of a different kind. I have tried out new things. All this is possible for you. So please, if we open our eyes to all these opportunities, we'll suddenly see that you are willing to do that. And next, there is also the question of designing your own identity. Who am I? Am I just my degree? Am I just somebody who's coming from Bangalore, or am somebody who is XYZ? No. I am somebody who is a contributor, who is a change maker, who is a person who can make a difference in any organization. Wherever I go, I am capable of making a difference. That kind of thinking, that kind of approach can actually radically bring about a change. So my whole suggestion in this whole thing is that if we are able to bring about this kind of a thinking, then you will suddenly find that there is a whole new world that is opening up to you. Now this is what is the theory. Let us now try to see how we are going to convert this into practice. This is what you need to build. You need to build a tree. Assume that this tree is your career. Imagine that this tree is your career. In this tree, there are roots. What is that roots? The root is not your degree. The root is within yourself. That roots is your faith in yourself, your self-esteem, your approach to life, which is what Maharaj was talking about, Swami Shantatmanji was talking about, that the roots of your tree is this self-esteem which you have to build. And how do you build this self-esteem? What is the method for building the self-esteem? That we'll come to. The second thing is you have to have the right approach to build your capabilities and your ability to make a difference wherever you go. So you have to build the trunk of the tree. And third is you must have right vision of your career. What kind of fruits I want? If you get the right fruits, right trunk and right roots, your tree will be strong. And what is that tree? Tree of your career. You want to have a career which is stable, strong, sustainable, next 30, 40 years, give you fruits of all kinds in your life, then you need to build all the 3 things. Build your roots, build your trunk, and then also build and also receive the fruits of your life in the right way. You should chase the right fruits at the right time. If these 3 have to be done. And what are those things? Let us look at it. What are the kinds of what is the kind of, let me start with the roots first. What is the kind of roots that you have to build? which is what Swami Shantatmanji was saying. Faith in our own inner potential and your possibilities. I will ask each one of you to try out an interesting experiment in your house. Can you take a sheet of paper and write down all that you are good at? How many things I am good at? How many things I can do well? And try to see how many things you can write down. Ask your friends, ask your relatives, ask people and try to put down. First try to find out how many things you are good at. You will find that you are good at 20 things as compared to what you think. Most of the students think that they are only good at 3-4 things. But you will actually find you are good at 10-15 different things. I'll give you an example. You know, some days, many months back, I was in an interview. In that interview, what happened was that there was somebody who came in and who was talking. This friend of mine had invited me to join in the interview for some job. And this person was some engineer from some institute or MBA or something. And then he came and he put out his biodata. We asked questions. When the questions were asked in the interview, he couldn't answer more than 70-80% of the questions. So my friend said, this fellow, we cannot take him. He doesn't know anything at all. There's no point in taking this person. I had a doubt in my mind, so I asked him that, okay, can we let us find out little more about him? We said, you tell us little about some of the activities you have done. Slowly, first he started how they explain in various biodatas. They said, I can sing well, I can dance well, all those things he said. Then he said, that's all fine, but it's not useful for my job. Tell me something more. And when we got into talking about something more, guess what he started talking about? He started talking about his sister's marriage. He said how he organized his sister's marriage. And from that, we found out that there were a lot of problems in that marriage, but he organized everything fantastically. From that, as we started going deeper into the whole subject, we found that this person is actually a fantastic organizer, but it is not written in the biodata. Because what he did was, when he went to the college, he said, what is this college function? Forget it. I am not interested in the college function. So it was nothing was sitting in his biodata there. He had a degree from somewhere, so that degree hundreds of other students had. So there is nothing to show the interviewer that he is looking for something special. But the point is, he is special. He is a fantastic organizer, but it is not written anywhere. What I am trying to say is, each one of you has got something special. But do you know what is special in you? We talk big, but do we know what is special in us? What is the use of saying that this person doesn't know who I am, that person doesn't know who I am? Do you know who you are? What is special inside you? Have you found out? Can you think from childhood what are the 5 things you did well? And can you think about it and say, can I leverage this in my life? Why should I always start out with the failures of my life? Very often it happens. I did not get into IIT or I did not get into XYZ, it's all fine. But I also did so many fantastic things. Have you got it and put it down? Find a way to present it to the people. Present it in some portfolio. That is all faith in your, and have faith. Can we have faith in our potential to learn? How many new things we have learned in the last 1 year? Are we only depending on the teacher to teach us new things? Have we learnt a few things on our own? 9 to 5 is the college. 5 to 9, what are we doing? Are we trying to learn something new by ourselves? If we can learn something new by ourselves, then we can have faith in our potential to learn new things. We can tell them, they will ask you in the interview, can you learn new things? Can you prove to us that you learn new things? What will you answer? You have to answer saying that, yes, I can prove to you that these are 5 new things I have learned. That proof is not for the other person, that's proof for yourself. Because you will have proof for yourself. Please understand, self-esteem comes only when we have proof that we are good. If others tell us we are good, that only is 50% of self-esteem. 50% of self-esteem comes when we are convinced that we are good, right? All that is, it is possible for us if we are able to build this faith. So the first project, if you ask me, that each one of us in this room has to do, is to start building our self-esteem by having faith in what our qualities are. Not faith in the degree, but faith in yourself. And faith in your abilities means writing down, starting from your childhood and seeing everything that you did well. you will find out that in our life, and Swamiji himself says that our relatives, our friends, everybody are only waiting to tell us what we are not good at. But how many times we know what we are good at? Can we put that down and start from that and begin building our roots? And can we try out new things? If we try out new things, our faith will increase. If we are going to try out our new possibilities and demonstrate our talents, our faith will increase. If we make small surveys, we try to organize things, get involved in every activities, our faith will increase. So give yourself a chance to increase your faith in yourself. If you increase your faith in yourself, your roots will increase. Faith in yourself is not gifted to you by anybody. Your father cannot gift you, cannot write in his will that please give my child faith and self-esteem. It is not available from your father, from your mother, from your teacher. It may be aided by them. They may tell you, yes, you are good. They may tell you all that. Somebody like me may come and say you are good and may talk like that. But all this will have effect for 1 hour. Even this talk that I am giving you will have effect for only half an hour. Looking at your attention span, only 20 minutes. But I feel that if you look at yourself and you are able to look and tick mark for yourself, you will find that faith is something that you have to earn yourself. So please remember this, that the faith in yourself is not gifted to you by anybody. It is earned by yourself, and it is earned by trying out things, by having faith. In fact, Swamiji gave not one, he gave you 7 methods. I was counting while he was talking. 7 methods he gave you of increasing your faith in yourself. All those 7 methods you can actually follow. Whether you take up one idea, follow it. Whether you affirm yourself, whether you follow any method you can follow. But you can develop that faith in yourself. That root you have to build. That is the first step in the journey. Second step in the journey is that if you were to go back now, is how do I build a trunk? The trunk that is built is, this is the thing. First is knowing things is worthless. I am saying something very important. Acquiring, stuffing knowledge, just knowing facts, even winning, kaun banega karodpati? Okay, if you win it, you will at least earn some money. But otherwise, there is nothing to be gained by acquiring facts and knowledge just like that. Nobody is not going to help you one bit in your life. By being able to rattle off many things. You know that famous story which Sri Ramakrishna once said, that there was a boatman who was carrying somebody. There was a Pandit who was going with him. That Pandit went on asking him, do you know this Vedanta? Do you know this? Do you know that? Boatman said, I don't know anything, sir. Then there was a storm. When that storm took place, that boat started capsizing. Then that boatman asked, sir, do you know how to swim? He said, you don't know. Then he said, sir, I know how to swim. My knowledge has actually taught me to save my life. What is that knowledge? That knowledge is able to. Ability to swim is able to. What we need is able to. What we need is not knowledge. Even if you learn science, if I learn an experiment, am I able to set up the experiment? If I am not able to set up the experiment, I have not learnt anything. Am I able to study the subject and am I able to go deeper into it? So this able to is the core of your career, not knowing. If degree gives you knowing, it is worthless. But if degree gives you able to do it, many of you, I don't know how many of you are MBAs here. Will you be able to do a marketing plan? Will you be able to go and sell something? Will you be able to set up a balance sheet? Will you be able to go and run something in a finance and try to learn something about finance in a company? Will you be able to manage something in HR? Or you only know the theory and concepts? If you know the theory and concepts, it will not necessarily give you a future. But if you are able to do these things, then there are thousands of companies waiting for you because they do not know how to do it. They are not able to. They are saying, are you able to? Come to us. So if you go to a job, say I am able to, then they are waiting for you. Similarly, whenever you take up a job, if you say chalta hai, I am just doing it for the sake of doing. I have come for a seminar. Few hours of my life I have spent here. Why? 2 ways of spending few hours of my life. That's what Swami Jitakamanji said right at the beginning. I can be present physically here. That means I am just meeting the requirements. I have to be here in the room, let me be here in the room. That is called meeting requirement. There are people who go into a company because the world has changed. It's a world which is hyper competitive, and therefore in that world, if you are meeting the requirements, they are asking you to go. I am not just talking. Do you know that recently we did a project with no less than TCS? 80,000 people we worked with. Do you know what they were telling them? The purpose of that was to tell them how to become a value creator. They are saying you don't just be a coder, be a value creator. So they want not meeting requirements of the job. They are saying you engage deeply, dive deep into the subject. If you dive deep into the conversations here, you will take away something in those 4 hours. While if you are only meeting the requirement, nothing will happen. So there are people 30 years of experience, but 30 years multiplied by 1 year of experience they have. That means 30 years later also they don't know anything more than 1 year worth of job. Then they will have no further career. Nobody will keep them. But if in every year you are learning something new, and how will you learn something new? By engaging deeply in the job, by going deep into the subject. Swamiji said, dive deep. You have to dive deep into everything. When that happens, automatically you will be able to go into the subject. Are you clear? Last is, don't try to be socially good. Don't try to be good for the sake of your relatives, for your friends, etc. The social goodness is a great crime, because we are good on the outside, but we are only waiting for a chance to actually show our true selves. Instead, have absolute integrity in your dealings. People only are looking for trusting people who have integrity. If I am doing a job, I will do it well. Not that when you are in front of me, I will do a good job. When I am away, I won't do a good job. And that you have to keep a CCTV to see whether I am doing my job or not. Such a kind of approach which is there, that kind of approach, such people are definitely going to be in that first screen with everything only going away from them. The jobs will be going away. But those who are in the second column, who have got that, who are going to have that integrity, will say that this person can work, I can leave the whole company in his hand and go outside. Such people will be trusted totally by the company. They will have unlimited job prospects. If you have to be trusted by your bosses, if you have to learn every day in the job, if you are going to able to do things, and if you are able to make a difference and create value, then unlimited opportunity for you. And even in your biodata, the same thing must come out. Not that I studied 14 subjects and I got 60% in one, 72% in another. All that is worthless in the new world. You will not be surprised, and I am telling you, this is coming from somebody who is really dealing with people from all these, from one end of the spectrum of people. I can tell you in 5 years from now, people will stop looking at your biodatas. You take it from me. 5 years from now, the biodata will be not looked at. They will instead check your Facebook profile, LinkedIn profile. They will check your multiple profiles, put a vision together, and using artificial intelligence, they will build a composite picture of you, and on that they will hire you and they will offer you a job. And those who don't have that composite picture on LinkedIn, Facebook, all that they will see, and based on that and based on the words that you use, on the language that you use, based on the kind of interest you show, they will find out whether what you are talking in the interview is the truth or not. If you think all this is far off in the future, it is not. It is barely 3 years away. LinkedIn is already investing more than $50 million on this technology. They will find out more about you than you know yourself, simply through analyzing your web behavior. In such a world, this is what right-hand side is needed. In a world where LinkedIn, Facebook, everything is revealing so much about you, then this right-hand side is the world. They want to see results out of people. Please understand, in the coming world, information is available. So those who only know the data and facts, that I can get out of my mobile itself, right? On Google I can get it. For that, why I have to go to the college and study? Why I should waste 4 years of my life studying in a college if I can get every data, every information? If I have to only go and learn everything by heart and go and repeat it in the exam, for that Google is enough. For that, why a human being I have to spend month on month? I am giving money to a human being because that human being can deliver results. He can use that information and do something more with it. Are you seeing what I am saying? That is the world we are entering. Please recognize that world. And in that world, you have to be winners. There's no question about it. And I believe that each person in this room can be a winner. But how should you be a winner? You have to be a winner by having faith in yourself and say that whatever is good in me, I'm going to bring out. Because if you are good in simply Twitter, yesterday, one example was given of a person with Twitter. He just used his Twitter skills and he used that to actually build a business on which he's making more than 18,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees a month. And you must invest in yourself starting today. Don't let a moment pass by now. Grab every moment as an opportunity to transform your life and create a new future. Don't wait for graduation to end and then for jobs to come and then for success to come and then for failure to hit me and then I have to fall and get up and then listen to free advice from hundreds of relatives and friends, and after that I have to learn that I have to do something. Don't wait for all that. My friends, wait for yourself today. Don't wait for any other human being in the world. Don't wait for your friends. I have found that half our friends drag us down because they only see negative. Oh, this is all too much. It cannot be done. This is practical in Bombay, practical in New York, in Mangalore, how it will happen. Why it won't happen? Somebody from who studied in Mangalore only is now the CEO of this one, right? Microsoft, right? Somebody who studied in Manipal only has become the CEO of Microsoft, right? How far away is Manipal from Mangalore? Have faith. If you have faith, everything is possible. If you have faith in your degrees will let you down, I am telling you, my friends. It was a faithful friend 20 years ago where all the most brilliant people used to go and do ICS and somehow get a job, or in a bank they will get a job and survive their whole life happily, bring up their children, retire and go away. That world is over, finished. And in this new world, you can do all these things. And yes, one more thing. I can be an adventurer. I can move anything. I have to just try it out. Who knows that power is within me? That dynamic identity you bring inside yourself. If someone asks you, who am I? Don't answer, I am just a student working in just second year, final year, MBA student. I am just looking for a job. I am just living here in this surrounding area. That's all I am. Don't describe yourself like that. Say I am somebody who is having these dreams, having this vision. I am going to try out something with my life. Have that sense of yourself. Change your identity. If somebody asks you, I have already given you one advice. Find out all your strength. My second advice, write the question, who am I? And answer that question, who am I? For yourself. And don't say, who am I is only a poor student who doesn't have opportunities. Say, I am somebody who can do anything. And this is what I am going to do with my life. That who am I question you answer differently with yourself. Third is, don't look only for outer success. Those who are chasing only salary, only thing, those people will suffer. Why? Because those who give you salaries, and suppose you go and negotiate, I want more salary, more. They'll say, okay, I'll give you more salary. Now you give me more result. If you don't give me result tomorrow, what happens if people chase you for results? You don't have a chance to fail. Unless we have a chance to fail, how do we become adventurous in life? Do you know one of the first things I did in my life after I sold my first company? Do you know in the first 1 year of my career when I started my company, we had 2-3 clients which were there. But every day we would try out new things, go to the clients, they would say fail, succeed, fail, succeed. But in that process, every day I was learning from clients, learning from people, free advice I was getting from all of them. Through that, I found that failure is such a fantastic friend because I was growing at high speeds. In fact, my friends who were comfortable and successful in their job, they were not growing because they were just going to work and coming. With my failure, I was moving faster. So actually, to fail fast and fail early, by the way, if you go to a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, that is the first rule they will tell you. Fail fast That you fail fast. Fatafat you fail. One after another you fail. And fail early. Earlier you fail, the better it is. Fail at this age. Start something today. Do something new today. Go join an SME. Your uncle has aunt, somebody has got a small business. Don't think of it today. Today it looks like a 1 crore company, small business. Tomorrow it can be a 100 crore, 1000 crore empire. Why I cannot help make it into a 1000 crore empire? I will work along with him to make it big. Think like that. See, wherever you see opportunity for growth. Don't see only opportunities for failure. It is possible. All we have to do is to change our vision radically in our life. And I just want to give one simplest formula. Besides all these formulas, see, so far I have given you only 3 formulas. I have told you, first write down your strengths. Secondly, I have told you that please try out everything as much as you can. Try out new things so that you are able to do more and more things. You are capable of using your head, hands, heart, everything together. You should be capable of doing that. That is the second thing I have told you. Third thing I have told you, answer that question, who am I, in a new way, in a positive way, in a strengthening way. That is the number 3 thing I have told you. 3 pieces of advice I have given you so far. All the rest I have told you, but these 3 things you can implement tomorrow. Now I will give you the 4th and most important thing to implement in your life. And I want to tell you something. This conclusion I have reached after 25 years of struggling on this subject. And this is what I want to give you. I truly believe this. If you read Swamiji, if you try it every day, don't even buy big books. You know, one of our greatest monks, Swami Ranganathanji, he said that towards the end of his life, a foreigner came for an interview to him and asked him that how should people change? How to give them these new ideas? And he said there in that interview, it's there in his reminiscence in that book which gives this. He says, give them little books. I have taken that idea very deeply in my heart also, because I find that these little books is the answer to people changing. One idea at a time. If you go into this mud, you are now in these holy premises, go to the bookstore, buy some wonderful books of Swamiji, life-giving, inspiring ideas. Don't wait for a seminar to inspire you. Inspire yourself. Take charge even of your own inspiration. Every day inspire yourself, morning to evening, read and say, I am going to become strong, I am going to have faith in myself. And why do I say that the future belongs to Swamiji's boys and girls? Because Swamiji's boys and girls have faith in themselves. They have faith in their destiny, faith in their possibilities, faith in their future. And they are willing to work for it, and they are willing to try anything that is necessary for it. Clear? Now I leave it open to your questions.
Hello sir.
Yes.
I'm Pooja from Sayadri College. I'm an HR student. I have a general question to you. When you started the session, you just mentioned about automation, right? So automation is one of the challenges which is there in front of us. So my question is, does automation improve the employment brand of a company, or will it make employees happier and more engaged?
On the contrary, has heard of, called augmentation. But let me tell you about automation. Automation means that whatever is a routine job goes away, because it can be automated. And routine includes any kind of process thinking, anything that you think that you can program and you can actually figure out and anticipate, which can be modeled. They are taking it and converting it into a digital model. And the minute it is digital, the cost comes down by 80%, no HR problems, nothing, 24/7 service. So automation really means that many of the jobs, for example, 20 years ago, if somebody went into a State Bank or a Bank of India kind of branch, you will find that the teller will give you all these, will give you the receipt, will give you this, will give you the money. Today you find nobody goes there. Everything is done either through an ATM or is done through the mobile. What has happened? Automation is done. So actually one side of automation is that it takes away the routine jobs. The other side of automation is, if it takes away the routine jobs, does it not mean that those who are left have to do something complex? The answer is yes, that they have to do something complicated, but for that they have to be capable, right? Who have to do simple jobs. Today you need fewer people who have to do complicated jobs. My point is that you have to be one of the few whom they have to select for the few people who are doing complicated jobs. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
That is the issue. The issue is that if they find you capable of doing the complicated job, they will select you. Earlier, 1,000 people, they'll select, maybe out of 10,000 people, they'll select 1,000 people. Today, they'll select only 300 people. But the 300 people, only the best, who are of one kind. I am saying you can become that. But you can become that not through your degree, but by trying out and learning new things and being able to do new things. Are you clear now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, please. I have time till about 1:10, right? 1:10.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, please.
It is indeed a pleasure listening to you for so long. I'm a guest faculty at Mangalore University, PG Department of Economics.
Right.
My question to you is, we are caught up in the vicious circle of learning and new learning.
Correct.
But in this gestation period of learning and new learning, how do we cope up with the essentials of unlearning?
Actually, the only way to unlearn, and this I'm not speaking randomly, I've actually done a lot of work on this because we also work on mass scale mindset change. And I can tell you that the only fastest way of unlearning is by exposing people to challenges beyond their current capability. From selfish to enlightened self-interest. What is enlightened self-interest? It means thinking win-win. It means creating value. If I go into a company and I'm only interested in my own salary, is that enlightened self-interest? No. If I go into a company, I should get my salary, but I should create value 5 times of my salary so that the company succeeds, my colleagues succeed, the company succeed. So those who think in terms of enlightened self-interest, that is enough for their careers. Those who are thinking in terms of unselfishness, they are of a higher level that some of the people in this room will automatically climb. But don't be stuck in this foolish, I call it foolish selfishness. What is foolish selfishness? Foolish selfishness is, I am only interested in myself, so I will not do anything for the company who is paying me. When they are paying you, I have to create value. I have to create value for society. If customers are paying us for our company, I have to become customer centric. If I go, I have to serve people because there is also a transaction there. I have to think win-win in life. I have to work with colleagues. Then only they will succeed, I will succeed. That kind of enlightened self-interest is more than enough for your career. Beyond that, if you go to unselfishness, that's wonderful. And that is what actually is there in the writings of Swami Ranganathananda, which if you read, you will find out. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hello sir, my name is Gayatri, professor from Sahyadri College of Engineering and Management. I must compliment you.
Sorry, 1 minute. I just want to also add one more point to what I was telling you. See, we have to see this whole thing as a single journey. See it as a ladders. And when you see it as ladders, first step, the lowest level of the ladder is this foolish selfishness. From there you climb to an enlightened self-interest. From that you climb to a higher stage, which is selfishness. So each one of us, if we climb that ladder from selfishness to unselfishness step by step, and that attitude comes only when I am creating that attitude of making a contribution, creating value, doing all these things, thinking win-win. So that is the bridge to create that. I hope I have clarified that further. Yes? So it is that clarity you will also. Yes, please.
Sir, to begin with, I would like to compliment for your work today, your speech today. It's quite inspiring. My question goes with the last slide of yours, takeaway idea. The future belongs to Swamiji's boys and girls, which means to say the youth sitting here are the people who are the torch bearers in the future. The question as a teacher, I have always thought, how to create that interest in themselves. How to create that interest that yes, the future belongs to them. If you actually look into they're very self-obsessed. Even me too for that matter. I'm so busy with myself. How do I create that interest to create the new future? This is my question to you.
So, here or three, you are correct. That it means that it is for the youth of today and their future there. But I also mean it more than metaphorically, because I am saying that Swamiji's had the gospel of strength. So what I meant when I say Swamiji's boys and girls is, I mean those youth, irrespective of their belief, if they have faith in themselves and if their idea is to build and become strong from within, then such people Swamiji loved wherever they came from. Whichever part of the world, wherever they came from, he loved them because he wanted people to be strong. So who is the Swamiji's boys and girls? Swamiji's boys and girls are those who have faith in themselves and are developing their strength. And what is strength? Three kinds of strength. Atma Balam, that is strength from within, our character strength. Buddhi Balam, which is intellectual strength. And Bahu Balam, which is physical strength. All kinds of strength when they build up. These are Swamiji's boys and girls. That is the first point I want to make. The second point which I would like to address is the point that you are making. How to create interest in your own future. Actually, no other person can create interest in your own future unless and until we come face to face with the truth that we are responsible for our futures. Whether we know it or not, do we realize that in this room, and I know, I have seen in myself also, that for a long time in our life, we put responsibility for ourselves on other people. We put responsibility on some God. We put some responsibility on some leader. We put some responsibility on some hero in the screen, or we put responsibility on a teacher. But none of them can carry responsibility. The weight of ourselves we have to carry by ourselves. Now that idea of carrying this weight by ourselves, the responsibility for our own career, please give that message to your students again and again. That nobody can save your careers 20 years from now. Who is going to look after you? Your parents are going to come and look after you and your family 20 years from now. They are going to supply you with money month on month if you create 3 children and your whole family is running. You will have to look after them yourself. If you, that whole society which is running there, when you are doing those duties, and if everybody around you is also going to only look after themselves and don't look after society, who is responsible for it? Your parents are going to go and come and help them? Nothing like that can happen. So the point which I agree with you, that people don't take up that responsibility, I feel that nobody on earth can help you. You have to take responsibility for yourself. As a teacher, if you are unable to do it, you please don't worry about it. Because it is not your job to take responsibility for some other human being. It is too big a responsibility for you or for me to take. It is their own responsibility, each person's responsibility for their career. Who is going to come and look after them at the ripe age of 45? Nobody. They have to look after themselves. So better start preparing for it now. Do you agree with me, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Correct? Yes.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Ayush and I am from MSN Business Institute of PG Studies. So worldwide there's a lot of buzz about artificial intelligence. So if it becomes fully functional, then do we have any work left?
Very good question, and here is my answer. Therefore, if artificial intelligence rules the world, then what is left? Place for real intelligence. Correct or no?
Agree, sir.
Now, what is real intelligence? That is the question. Real intelligence is the capacity to solve problems, the capacity to face new challenges, the capacity to be creative, the capacity to think out of the box, to be able to generate new things, to be able to have vision, to be able to expand our vision, to inspire others. All this no machine can do. A leader can inspire others. A leader can carry 1,000 people with him and actually create a dream. No machine will do it for you. So yes, there is a place for real intelligence. Develop real intelligence. And artificial intelligence is the knowledge that comes out. If I study a textbook and just go and repeat it in the exam, that is most artificial intelligence. The future, that part of intelligence machines will take away. But this real intelligence is waiting for you to take up. There are very few real intelligent people. There is a tremendous shortage worldwide of real intelligence. Please take it up and you will find. And I am not joking. Companies are now coming to us. I will not name the name, but one of the major banks whose origins is in Karnataka, they have come to us and saying, can you help our people develop the capacity to solve our customers' problems? So there is a place for real intelligence. Start developing it today. Clear?
Thanks.
Yes. Last question, please. Yes, please.
Excuse me, sir. I have one query. How the level of courage can be raised, whether through knowledge or from experience or through facing more number of challenges?
Actually, it doesn't come from either facing challenges or experience or book learning. It comes from the capacity to learn. You have to learn from every experience. A man who goes through, you find even a cow goes through so many experiences. That doesn't mean the cow is becoming intelligent. You may find that somebody else, there may be a poor man facing lot of terrible experiences. That doesn't mean he'll become more intelligent every day. So intelligence doesn't come from the experience, it comes from the learning from the experience. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Making a mistake is not a virtue, but learning from the mistake is a virtue.
Okay, sir. How to increase the efficiency level?
Efficiency of learning. To increase the efficiency of learning, you need two things. You need humility and aspiration. You need to have, you have to be humble. You have to feel, I have to learn so much. I don't know anything. The greatest saint of all time, that Swami Sri Ramakrishna, at the end of his life, he said, as long as I live, so long do I learn. So I have to be willing to learn all the time. And secondly, it has a terrific desire to grow. I have to say, I want to grow myself. I don't want to be stuck in this small state by myself. I want to be more than who I can be. That feeling should come inside you. If that feeling comes, I want to grow, and you have openness to learning, I think it is possible.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.